Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back. Today I'm gonna discuss the topic Software Development Lifecycle V Model. Outline of our topic that we are going to discuss today is Introduction, Model Design, Phases in V Model, Application, Advantages, Disadvantages, and Summary. So, introduction to V model is it is an software development lifecycle model where execution of process happens in a sequential manner in a V shape. It is also known as verification and validation model. The V model is an extension of waterfall model and is based on the association of a testing phase for each corresponding development stage. This process that for every single phase in the development cycle, there is a directly associated testing phase. This is highly disciplined model and the next phase starts only after the completion of the previous stage. Next we have V model design. Under the V model, the corresponding testing phase of the development phase is planned in parallel. So there are verification phases on one side of the V and validation phases on the other side of the V. The coding phase joins the two sides of the V model. Graphical or simply the representation of V model is in V form. The first stage is one side is verification and one side is validation. Next we have V model verification phases. Business requirement analysis. This is the first phase in the development cycle where the product requirements are understood from the customer's perspective. This phase involves detailed communication with the customer to understand his expectations and the exact requirements. This is very important activity and need to be managed well as most of the customers are not sure about what exactly they need. So the acceptance test design planning is done at this stage as business requirements can be used as an input for the acceptance testing. V model verification phases system design. Once you have clear and detailed product requirements, it is the time to design the complete system. The system design will have the understanding and detail the complete hardware and communication setup. For the product under development, the system test plan is developed based on the system design. Doing this at an earlier stage leaves more time for the actual testing execution later. Next we have V model verification phases. Architecture design. Architecture specifications are understood and designed in this phase. Usually more than one technical approach is proposed and based on the technical and financial feasibility, the final decision is taken. So the system design is broken down for further in modules taking up different functionalities. This is also referred to as high-level design. The data transfer and communications between the internal modules and with the outside world, other systems is clearly understood and defined in this stage. With this information, integration test can be designed and documented during this stage. The next stage is module design. In this stage, basically the detailed internal design for the system modules is specified, referred to as low-level design. It is important that the design is compatible with the other modules in the system architecture and the other external system. The unit tests are an essential part of any development process and helps eliminate the maximum faults and error at very early stage. These unit tests can be designed at this stage based on the internal modules designs. Next we have coding phase. So the most important phase is coding phase, in which you actually code the program. Coding of the system modules design in the design phase is taken up in the coding phase. The best suitable programming language is decided based on the system and the architecture requirements. The coding is performed based on the coding guidelines and standards. The code goes through the numerous code reviewers or reviews and is optimized for best performance before the final build is checked into the repository. Validation phases. The different validation phases in a V model are explained in detail, which the first validation phase is unit testing. The unit test design in the module design phase are executed on the code during the validation phase. Unit testing is the testing at code level and helps eliminate bugs at an early stage through all defects cannot be uncovered by testing unit. The second one is integration testing. Integration testing is associated with the architecture design phase. Integration tests are performed to test the coexistence and the communication of internal modules within the system. Next, third one is system testing. So the system testing is directly associated with the system design phase, and system test checks the entire system functionality and communication of the system under the development with external system, and most of the software and hardware compatibility issues can be uncovered during this system test execution. Next is acceptance testing. Acceptance testing is associated with the business requirement analysis and involves testing the product in user environment. Acceptance tests uncover the compatibility issues with the other system available in the user environment. It also discovers the non-functional issues such as load, performance defects in the actual user environment. V-model application. V-model application is almost the same as the waterfall model, as both the models are the sequential type. Requirements have to be very clear before the project starts because it is usually expensive to go through and to go back and make changes. This model is used in the medical development field as it is strictly a discipline to pain. The following pointers are some of the most suitable scenarios to use the V-model applications. Requirements are well defined, clearly documented and fixed. Product definition is stable. Technology is not dynamic and is well understood by the project team. There are no ambiguous or undefined requirements. The project is short. Advantages of V model. This is highly disciplined model and phases are completed one at a time. Works well for smaller projects where requirements are very well understood. Simple and easy to understand and use. Easy to manage the rigidity of the model. Each phase has specific deliverables and reviews process. Disadvantages of the V model. High risk and uncertainty because it is sequential process. Not a good model for complex and object-oriented projects. Poor model for long and ongoing projects. Not suitable for the projects where requirements are a moderate to high risk of changing. Once an application in the testing stage, it is difficult to go back and change the functionality. No working software is produced until late during the life cycle. So this was all about today's lecture. We have discussed a V model. I want you guys to write the summary in the comments below that what you have learned from this lecture. I will meet you in the next lecture with a new topic. Till then, take care. Allah Hafiz.